Good evening and welcome to Talking Points. I'm Esme Murphy. Our subject tonight, gambling. Why does Minnesota not have sports gambling when 38 other states and the District of Columbia do? Well, my next guest might have the answer to that, and if this is the year, we finally get it. Joining me right now is Senator Matt Klein, also a physician, so it's Senator Dr. Matt Klein.
That's right.
Let me ask you, it's your bill for legalized sports gambling. Essentially, what your bill would do is allow all of us to gamble on our phones. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's mobile sports wagering, and it's legal, as you say, in over 30 states in the United States. And it would allow you to sort of bet on sporting events coming up in the future off a mobile application on your phone.
All right. You've tried to do this for a number of years. Others have tried to do it for many years. It's never worked. Minnesota's a little complicated. There's a bit of a three-legged stool where there's got to be an agreement between the Native American tribes, the racehorse tracks, and also the legislature. How are those pieces fitting in, and why do we have those pieces here?
Well, starting with the legislature, it's always been one of those issues where there are supporters both in the Republican and in the Democratic caucuses, but there are also opponents in both caucuses. And so it is one of those bills, almost like Sunday sales, where you have to form a coalition in a bipartisan way, and you have to be able to move it through committee in a bipartisan way. And that's a special kind of legislative work. It's been thrilling to work on it, but we've never quite gotten it across the line. Having said that, this year, with, as you know, the very closely matched House in both Senate and House, this is one of those issues that might be able to have some traction.
All right. So you think you might have the votes, because apparently it's been very, very close. Another problem, explain the compacts with the Native American tribes from your standpoint as somebody who's trying to craft this legislation and to get it passed and for it to be legal.
When we first legalized casino wagering in the state of Minnesota, we kept it exclusive to our 11 sovereign Native American tribes.
And this is way back in 1989. You had nothing to do with this.
I was a baby, but
yeah.
I visited 5 of those tribes this summer and saw the good work that they do with those revenues. Right. And they do it responsibly and safely. They're good, custodians of that right. And they build health care and schools and education and housing for their members. So going forward, as we expand into online wagering, I think it's important that we maintain exclusivity of those licenses to the tribes.
So would the tribes hold the licenses for one of these mega national operations that run sports gambling?
There will be 11 licenses issued. There are 11 tribes. Each tribe can get one license. Now then, if they choose to sort of contract with a platform such as DraftKings or one of the others, they can go ahead and do that. But they will own the license.
All right. But that's the law here in Minnesota, and it's open-ended. These contracts have no expiration date. So you can't just do it on your own. You've got to have this agreement with the tribes. Isn't that right?
That's essential, yeah.
Okay. Another piece of this is the racetracks. Explain their role, because it sounds like they are on board, and you didn't have that last year.
We didn't have that last year. There are 2 racetracks in Minnesota. People are familiar probably with Running Aces and Canterbury, huge Minnesota destinations, not unlike the State Fair. And they, rightly feel that as we expand licensure for new wagering activities and keep it exclusive to the tribes, that their business model will suffer. We have found a way to carve out some of the revenues from sports wagering to sustain their operations so that people can still go watch a race at Canterbury on the weekend. And they now are fully supportive of the bill as we have it written.
All right. And again, what you said, this is bipartisan. This is not just Senator Klein is a Democrat, but this is bipartisan. You've got people like Senator Jeremy Miller, a very conservative senator from southern Minnesota, former majority leader, who is all in on this. But you also have liberal senators, progressive senators, including Scott Dibble and Aaron May Quaid, amongst the most progressive senators out there, who are against it. They feel there's too much harm that comes from gambling. You're a physician, and you also have 5 adult children. That's a concern. I mean, a lot of people in general of all ages are hooked on gambling.
I fully respect the concerns from my own caucus on this. They are legitimate public health concerns, and as we rolled out in other states sports wagering, we've learned a lot of lessons about how to do it safely. One thing I would ask people who are opposed to it because of the public health risk is it better that we currently have an illicit, thriving market where there are no safeguards whatsoever about problem use or underage use? Or is it better that we legalize it and regulate it and put in barriers to problem gambling and fund some treatment services for gambling? So I think legalization is better, similar to how we approach things with alcohol and cannabis.
All right, and you've got some safeguards built into your bill. Can you tell us about that?
I absolutely do. One of the biggest ones is a 3-hour delay. So people are concerned that there's impulsive gambling. You lose $500, and then you'll say, "Oh, geez, I got to get it back. Let me put in another $1,000." If somebody wants to gamble more promptly, they have to wait 3 hours after depositing it into their gambling account.
So that'll cut down. I mean, that's different. Does any other state have that?
No, that'd be unique.
Okay, because I've never heard of that. That's very interesting. But you think that'll help get it through?
It's one of maybe 10 or 12, protections we have for consumers, which would really, curtail problem and impulsive gambling, I think. So.
All right. From a medical standpoint, I mean, you're a physician with the Mayo Clinic. There are so many concerns about the addiction, and the addiction spills over into so much in medicine and in life. Is that something that's valid? I mean, to try and ban this as opposed to going in the other direction?
No, it's not a good approach to try to ban it. If there's one thing we've learned in America, it's that prohibition doesn't work. Again, people who have issues with problem wagering are already sports betting. They're doing it on offline platforms that have no barriers or regulations whatsoever. By bringing it in-house and having a safe market for Minnesotans, regulated by the tribes, I think we'll do better.
All right. I've been covering the legislature for a really long time, and I'm not sure I've ever seen it quite as dysfunctional. The dysfunctional aspect is probably more on the House side than the Senate side, but you need both houses to pass something. I mean, is anything substantial going to get done this year?
Esme, I think the first few weeks are going to be rocky, figuring out who's in control or if there's power sharing in the House.
Can we quote you on that?
But, we are going to work together. I'm committed to working with both sides of the aisle and both chambers, and we have a budget to pass. We have work to do, and Minnesotans expect us to do it.
And that's a must. That has to be done.
We can't fail. And honestly, Minnesotans sent a bipartisan, closely matched legislature to the Capitol, so we got to honor, what they apparently wanted us to do. So.
All right. And you're a good vote counter. I mean, do you think this could be the year that it passes? I mean, it sounds like you're optimistic.
I'm really optimistic. We have a great author in the House with Senator Cedric Frazier and Representative Cedric Frazier, Representative Nolan West. They are great bipartisan allies. And in the Senate, I think I have the votes.
All right. And in terms of if it were to be passed by both houses and signed by the governor, which he's indicated he would, when could this become law? As
soon as January of 2026. But don't hold me to that.
All right, we won't. Well, it is interesting. It's something that we've followed a long time, and I know so many people are so interested in this. I want to thank you so much for coming in. Always a pleasure. And we'll obviously be following how this bill moves forward. So thank you so much, folks. This is Talking Points, and this interview will be posted to YouTube on Thursday nights. Other editions will also be posted to YouTube on Thursday nights. Again, thank you for watching. I'm Esme Murphy, WCCO.